4, 3, a 2, a 1. Good afternoon, Richland College. You are listening to KDUX Web Radio, more like Phlegm Radio. Broadcast live from Richland College in Dallas, Texas. We are the voice of Richland College. Views expressed on this show are our own. Unless otherwise stated.
I'm going to memorize that just by...
And do not reflect the... I say this in my sleep, but then I still never get it right on the air. Do not reflect the opinion of KDUX Web Radio, Richland College, or the DCCCD. Welcome back to all our unique listeners. Listener. It's good to be back. Thrilled to be here.
Shout out Joe.
Oh wow! Shout out Joe. That's a deep shout.
Throwback.
Deep cut.
Deep cut. We are here. It is our typical time, which is again Tuesdays from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, nestled in between Ezra and Pronk Pops, right where we want to be, and right where you want us to be. So let's get it going here, guys. Today's topic is uniqueness, and let us begin to make. Let's begin to make introductions as the rest of the crew files in here. The rest of the Lost Ducklings. We'll start in the end there.
My name doesn't really matter. What matters is who I am. And who I am, no one knows.
I'm just getting this in from Jack. We've been canceled. Local groupie.
Yeah, there we go. That's who I am.
Welcome back, Berman. John Stalin.
Yep. Direct descendant, guys.
Joseph Stalin.
Oh, God.
All right.
And I'm Hayakazi, my real name this time.
Wow, using a real name.
I'm not afraid of those reporters.
You must
come at me, bro.
Get out of here.
Jeez. I'm Professor Manzi, faculty advisor. Who do we got to my right here?
My name is Kalen Scoggins. I'm a adjunct faculty member in the government department here at Richland College.
Bam.
And Manzi's off camera now.
Thank you. Off camera, but on your mind, folks. Wow, look at this hair. All right, guys. Well, first things first, before we get into this, how about a huge shout out to the Richland Chronicle. Once again, last show we had the editor-in-chief, Allie, and she enjoyed her time from what I understand. And the newest issue of the Chronicle came out today. So we got some Philosophy Club mainstays there, Ryan Morrow and Victoria Patterson. Gracing the cover. And then if you look more closely on the inside, who do we got here?
The main man, Mario. Mario, dude.
We do have Mario. But before
I was looking at that.
Before Mario, who do we got?
I mean, you can't go. No one's before Mario.
That's
man.
true. That's true.
Mario's
Dude,
the OG.
Mario's Socrates.
He was here last week.
I saw him. Yeah, I
He's
saw
a
him.
shiny Pokemon.
He is a shiny Pokemon, honestly.
He dropped $80 roughly to take a cab to make it to the show yesterday.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or not
Damn.
yesterday, Friday. So I mean, that's the kind of devotion we're looking for, Julio. Anyway, so yeah, this right here. Who's that with the megaphone? It's the Philosophy Club's own
Wait, I
vice
think you're showing the
president,
wrong picture.
John Stalin.
John Stalin. Right?
Oh, never mind.
Yep.
Right.
There's Zaynab.
Yeah,
Shout out.
that's my name.
There it is. And then you have, and then we got more John.
Oh my God, it's John.
Look at this.
Did they spell my name wrong there too?
How'd they spell John?
Oh no, they actually put the GS on the end there. That's cool.
Actually, they didn't.
Oh,
I'm
really?
sorry. They did say you were a philosophy major.
Why?
Are you?
No.
You might as well be. He might as well be.
They're saying like he came from Brookhaven College.
He's actually a Martian.
And there's one more thing to show, the most important thing, Haya.
Yep. Great.
Oh wait, hold on.
Oh.
Yeah, give me something to it.
I'm sorry.
I shouldn't say most important thing. I said
John Stalin.
just the most entertaining thing. And that would be this.
You're a true
The Philosophy Club. The Philosophy Club is everywhere in this issue.
It is everywhere.
Look at this. That
It's
photo
the only thing happening.
taken from
Become the nation's
2012
favorite.
is a student clubs can host radio show, but it features the Philosophy Club, which is really cool. I met with Miranda, as did Uche, and it was fun. They're featuring us. They plugged the fact that we won the award, first place for best all-time radio show ever at any college, which is
Oh, that's what
an
that
honor.
award was for, really?
More or less. That's what I'm telling my bosses.
Dallas District. Sorry, Dallas District.
So yeah, here we are,
Damn.
folks.
I need to start bragging about it more.
That's what I'm saying. We need to post that on the Facebook.
Quick
I
question.
got an. Yeah, speaking of John, I got I got a notification from the Facebook page saying we haven't posted something in 42 days.
Oh,
The Facebook
sorry.
page.
Come on.
My bad.
We're gonna get on that. We're gonna.
I don't even use social media.
It uses
He
you,
has
man.
difficulty.
Uses you, man.
Speaking of you, what makes you you? Wow,
What a
that's what we call a
segue.
professional segue. What makes you you? So today's topic is, again, uniqueness is how I put it in the email to faculty and staff. But yeah, the question is, what makes you you? And
Didn't really pan out like I thought it would in the
W.
meeting. It kind of went in a different direction than I thought it would go.
Oh, well, that brings us, in that case, to the requack. Huh.
You forgot your honker again.
I leave it in the car.
Well, I'll do this again.
That was a very violent sounding duck.
Yeah,
Aggressive. It's like the ones on
That's
Richmond
what I can
campus.
do.
The ones on Richmond campus.
that's
are
a
aggressive.
duck dying.
Just about.
Thunder duck dying.
That's what Richland
It's a war
is.
cry.
Duck dying.
It's a thunder duck war cry.
Hmm. All right, you said it didn't pan out the way you expected. What is the way you expected it to pan out?
I don't know. It's like because the question was what is you? So I was thinking more of like the subjective idea of me being something that continues, even though my physical my physical pattern changes.
Yeah.
But instead, we kind of got onto what does it mean to be unique, and what separates one thing from another thing, and what is the identity of something.
Basically, we touched all metaphysical and spiritual aspects of being you.
A little bit.
Okay, so
Oh,
and
is that
that's
what we did?
I didn't think so.
Didn't feel like it.
Metaphysical, because it's talking about being two exactly the same beings, and also being the same thing, because you're exactly the same being.
Is that metaphysical though?
I'd say. I think I read somewhere in a book about it.
No, yeah.
yeah.
you
It said
could say it's
introduction to
metaphysical.
metaphysics.
No, I think there's something metaphysical about our considerations for sure. But yeah, so I mean, rather than requack, because we don't got a ton of time, do we want to just get into the kind of thing you want to talk about, or?
Yeah, I guess so. I kind of
do
talked
it.
about it a little bit, but it didn't really like resonate very well. I think. I talked about how kind of the thinker of the thoughts, because that's something that I like to think about a whole lot. So
Wait, you like to think about it?
no,
No.
the illusion of the thinker of the thoughts likes to think about that.
Or so you
Likes
think?
to.
All right,
Yeah,
so
I
explain
think.
explain the thinker of the thoughts
So,
situation
That was
again.
confusing.
Okay,
It was
so,
confusing.
so
I lost IQ.
It puts the you in confusing.
which is a little dumber now.
And unique.
I really, it confused me for the second that I was hearing it because there's a lot of forward, backward,
Yeah,
forward,
Yeah,
backward.
Braden was
it's kind of-
confusing me, basically.
So think
Yeah,
about
where'd Brandon
the thoughts that you have in your head. It seems only rational that there would be a thinker of those thoughts inside of your head as well. That you are the thinker of your thoughts. But the idea that you are a thinker of your thoughts is in itself a thought. So there can't be a thinker of the thoughts to think of the thinker of the thoughts.
Except for the one who just thought that.
But I mean, still, that's still a thought that
Sent-
there is actually someone thinking about that. And Braden talked about an example
Yeah.
of a kicker of a ball, because there has to be someone who kicks the ball for the ball to be kicked. It can't just have been kicked. So he said that we can't just think. There has to be something to think the thought. But that's different because there doesn't have to be someone inside of your head, a little like thinking monkey, who's just sitting there pushing buttons as to what to think, you know? It can be something. It's a thought. It's an idea that there's something that has to think the thoughts. But to kick a ball, there actually does have to be a physical kicker.
Oh, I think I know where you're going.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think what Braden was basically getting onto was for there to be an effect, there has to be a cause.
Yeah.
And you're saying that the effect is there without any cause, and that doesn't sound like a situation that could be plausible.
Again, something could exist without a cause, but it wouldn't be an effect, because part of what it means to be an effect is to be caused.
I mean, yeah. So it's like this.
Just
thought.
like part of what it is to be a thought is to be thought by
Mm-hmm.
someone or something.
Yeah, I mean, try looking at it this way, guys. Because no, I like your question, John, and we want to avoid the infinite regress here, of course. Can you? Okay, let's approach it from the opposite side. Can a thinker have a thought that is contentless? Can you have an empty thought? Try to think an empty thought.
Want an
Well,
empty
if you
thought
try to
be-
think it, then you can't think it because that's
It
that's
defeats
trying
the
to think it.
purpose.
Yeah.
Think an empty thought.
I mean, that's what meditation is. So a lot of
meditation is
Eastern-
no thinking.
Yeah, a lot of Easterners would say that the point, not the goal necessarily, but an outcome of meditation is a blank mind. So a thinker having no thoughts, and then in turn having no thinker to think those thoughts. So just existing.
But imagine, but okay, no, that's fair. But if you're a thinker and you say, "I want to have a thought that's empty," how do you do that? So that's just that you can't.
You can't try to think about it though. You can't try to have a thought that's empty. The thing is that you have to just kind of let it get there eventually. I mean, like,
But I want to call that a thought. I think meditation is meant to quell the mind. It's meant to make thinking cease so that you can just be. You can just exist. Like, where's your pure being now, Tommy? Your pure being. You're just existing. But thoughts, by their very nature, require objects. Think of the thought bubble. There needs to be something inside there. And objects themselves that are thinkable require a thinker to have them.
Gesundheit.
Yeah, contentless thought would seem to be like saying that someone has a height but no particular height.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, are you tall or short? I'm tall. Okay, how tall are you? Oh, I don't have any particular height.
Yeah. I'm pregnant with what? Nothing. I mean, yes. So it's like, it seems as though thoughts and thinkers are inseparable in a certain sense.
I mean, I want to talk about like
You're on the hot seat.
So when it comes to meditation, let's talk about something like mantra meditation. When you repeat a mantra over and over again to where you're no longer thinking about it, you're just repeating it. That same kind of thing can be done when you say lose yourself in your work. When you're doing something that you're so passionate about that you're not even thinking about you doing it anymore. That you're just doing it. Like if you are very much into art or woodwork or something and you're like sanding something, and you kind of forget that time has passed, and then you just kind of like snap out of it and you're like, whoa, I'm sanding and I've been doing this for like 6 minutes.
Okay, that's fair, but what you lose there is, as you said, you lose yourself. I mean, what happens is you stop thinking about yourself, but you're still thinking, but you're just thinking about what's happening.
I think.
I'm not thinking about sanding when I'm sanding. I'm just doing it. I don't have to think about like I have to go up and down and up and down, you know?
Talking about sanding?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, Haya. I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
I think the idea is that you are no longer aware that you can think. So when you sand, you don't exactly lose yourself in your mind thought. You just lose yourself in the work. Like when I'm painting, I don't really think about it, but the strokes become so easy that I don't actually think about doing it in a particular way.
Are we talking about painting?
Yeah.
I think we might be
Stop!
I think we might be getting a little bit further away from the initial
Yeah, we
question. But I do want to go back to John's initial point because he was talking about there being kind of a thinker inside your head thinking the thoughts and kind of that goes on.
I think he called it a monkey.
potentially
Yes.
infinitely. Is that
That's the technical term.
the monkey thinker, right?
Yeah.
The think eater.
Thinky.
But yeah, I would.
That was a bad one.
Man, if Manzi says it's bad, then you know you messed up.
Yeah.
I've reached the new low.
No.
So
Keep swinging, though.
right for the low hanging fruit, as it were. Monkey steals the peach.
Goad.
Monkeys in a barrel. That's what the studio is.
But no, okay. So, but getting back into the, kind of the thinker inside your head thinking the thoughts, but it's not being that the idea that there is a thinker inside you thinking the thoughts is itself an idea which had to be thought by someone else. It had to be thought by some other thinker. That was kind of where you're going with it, right?
If you say that a little bit slower, maybe I could get that.
No, that's what makes me unique is talking fast like that.
So
So
I think that there isn't actually a thinker to the thoughts. That's kind of my opinion. Is that
right, but your reasoning for getting there is that if you posit a thinker to the thoughts, you kind of have to posit thinkers all the way down.
yeah.
So to speak. So you deny the existence of a thinker to avoid the infinite regress that you see happening there.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that infinite regress is well motivated. I'm going to throw a fancy term here. I think you're reifying the thinker aspect here. Meaning that I think that you're thinking of the thinker of the thought within your own head as too much of a separate substance or a separate entity, as somehow distinct from, as you were saying, the physical aspects. I think that it makes more sense to conceive of, or even in normal conversation, you talk about your body, but also your thoughts and your ideas, but you are not identical to either your body or your thoughts or your mind or mental processes. These are all things that you have as a composite. And so to think of the thinker of the thoughts as somehow separate from you or an additional kind of center of intellect and will inside whatever it is you already are is to give too much concreteness or substantiveness to that whole process. So I don't think you necessarily have to go down the infinite regress path by affirming that thoughts have a thinker.
But
Your thoughts?
But still,
Your thoughts.
Exactly.
You say that you can avoid the infinite regress
Think about
by
it.
not assuming that there is that you have to separate the thinker from the thoughts. And that's exactly what I'm saying, is that you don't have to separate the thinker from the thoughts by making the thinker just another thought.
Well, the thinker isn't another thought. You can make a claim about the thinker. And again, that is an idea or a claim you can make. That doesn't mean that it's purely isolated within your mind and has no, contact with anything outside of it.
Yeah, I think, and to build on Kalen's point here, oh God, excuse me, that's not what I was doing by building. Phlegm.
Okay.
Oh, Kalen, I think your student's here.
Yeah.
At any rate, the point being is this. Yeah.
He actually walked by.
Did he walk by?
Yeah.
Completely uninterested.
He said hi and then walked by.
Okay.
Where'd he go?
He's gone. He walked down the hallway.
Well, he talked to me today and said he wanted to come on the show. Because he was supposed to
Doesn't
come on
care.
last Tuesday, but it got canceled.
Oh.
Anyways.
Is
Okay.
that Daniel? Or?
Yeah, it's Daniel.
Oh, should I go out and chase him down?
Yeah, go
Yeah,
chase
go
him.
chase him down, yeah.
Tackle him.
Oh God, please don't.
Jack, can we lock the door?
Yeah, hell that he's gone.
Now we can really talk. Anyways. Whew. Rayify, what?
What are you gonna say?
I'm basically gonna repeat his point. Oh, hang on, I gotta go and lock the door.
All right, now that he's gone.
Now you're gonna really
Let's
talk.
get back to real business here.
Real professional, award-winning show, folks.
That'd be a good philosophical play. It's just like each person leaves until there's just one person left, and then they're like, now we can really talk.
And it's just you alone with your thoughts. Anyways,
Oh my God.
But
Yeah,
yeah, what were you gonna say?
well,
If you're really there.
the point I'm trying to make is phenomenological, which is another way of saying that it becomes difficult to distinguish between a subject and an object when you consider that in order for an object to be, say thought, in order for a thought to be had, there needs to be thinkable attributes that get activated by a thinker. And likewise, for a thinker to call himself a thinker or able to think, he needs to be able to think of things that are thinkable. So you have the thinker who can only be a thinker insofar as there are things that are thinkable, and you have objects of thought that can only be thought insofar as they are thought by a thinker. So, I mean, that's my understanding of why there's no real differentiation between. I think it's a false dichotomy.
It's like a front and a back.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, or yeah. I was going to say two sides of the same coin, but we don't want to go down that road again. But
I do.
But I know you do. But more importantly, though, to this question, I should say, it's your understanding of the thinker as somehow having to be again this kind of isolated entity that is not a process, but more of like a thing. I think that's where the problem is occurring here. That thought itself is it's an activity that requires, again, both a thinker and an object together in tandem. And without one, you don't have the other. Which
Does
is
an
why,
activity imply an actor?
yeah, that's precisely what I'm saying. Yeah, thinking presupposes a thinker for thinking to happen. And for thinking to happen, it needs to reach its completion in thought.
Well,
So, yeah.
I consider myself the actor, but then what am I if I change continuously? If what I consider
George
to be
Harrison wrote
myself
You are the walrus.
Cuckoo Kachoo.
Go ahead.
There you go.
This program's hit the wall. Risk.
I think then, so yeah, what am I? Because I change. Everything that I consider myself changes. There's nothing that's stable in myself that stays the same, except for the understood quality that I am me. And where does that come from?
Like
Because then that's the question.
An apple seed, like if an apple
that's a
through
good
it's like an apple is still an apple even when it's developing. Like the end game of an apple and the seed of an apple, is it not still the same apple just because it's developing into something new or becoming more of itself? Does
Not
that
really.
change the fact that it is it?
No, because like in some languages, when you have an unripe apple, we have a different word for it. It's not the same word, which is for apple the same. It's not the same word as apple because it's not the same thing. It's an unripe apple, so it has a whole different word for it. Until it becomes that ripe apple, it will not have the title.
Were you less higher when you were 5 years old?
It's not the same thing though, because
I think it is the same thing.
I think so too. You're just developing.
Yeah.
you won't if you're making an apple pie. Will you take the seed and put it into an apple pie?
I won't because it's not a fully developed apple, but it's still an apple essentially. It's what an apple.
Yeah,
it's
literally.
going to become an apple.
In essence, yeah.
I guess.
I think y'all are getting at potentials
Definitely.
for development, or potentials becoming actualized
Become an
over
apple.
time, which is really what change is in the final analysis. I think it's safe to say, is simply moving from potential to actual. The seed is potentially an apple, but over time, again through the various processes, it becomes an actual apple as opposed to simply a potential one.
An actual.
An actual. Yes.
I'm leaving.
Well, same thing with like an acorn into an oak tree, right?
I feel like he's getting
this
better.
this acorn changes and becomes an oak tree. The acorn is potentially an oak tree, but not actually an oak tree. And so, but all those potentialities to become an oak tree are really there in that particular acorn. But that particular acorn does change. But it's that acorn that changes into something else. In order for something to actually change, some part of it has to actually endure or exist through the change. Otherwise, it's not a thing changing. It's just one thing going out of existence entirely and another thing taking its place.
And that came up. Yeah, and that came up in the club today.
But what about
Sort of.
Yeah, in
what
a weird
about
way,
when you
yeah.
have
Not in the right way.
like Uchi said that when I was a baby I was still higher, and I would at the end of the day still be higher. Right? Like an acorn has the potentiality to be an oak tree, but it has the potentiality to be an oak tree. Right? So what about me when I have a
potential.
potentiality of staying higher, but is my name higher? The actual title, I could go ahead and change my name to something else, like something really stupid, like I don't know.
Trash boat.
Exactly.
Or like when you get married, maybe you change your name.
Exactly.
Well,
but
actually,
again,
it's still the
you
same
would
person.
change your name.
So
Exactly.
is it the title or the person?
It's the substance.
Yeah,
Just the
like
substance.
Kellen said, you would change your name. You would be the one changing your name.
But what if I? But
She's
what
on a
if?
substance.
She's still
What if
high.
I removed my? What if I was? What if I was in the future and my physical body wilted? The only thing that was left behind was my brain, or at least the connections between my neurons, the electrical impulses that drove my brain. And all they could do to save me was transfer my thought process or
Into
my
something
brain
else.
to something else. Would it still be higher?
I think it would be because I don't think that a person is that person due to their physical characteristics. Something I said in the group the group meeting was, currently I have 2 arms, 2 legs. If a year from now I get my arm cut off, I have 1 arm, 2 legs. I'm still me, even though my physical characteristics have changed.
See, but like.
So do you transcend your physical body?
But you're also not you.
See, but
I think so.
but there's a difference. What if you were translated into a body that wasn't suited for you? Because you know when, but what happened? What I would imagine would happen if you go into a different body. You don't suit the skin.
Sure.
Right?
That body wears suits very well. I might say.
Yeah, but anyways, it doesn't
sounded
suit your
weird.
skin, so you're not used to it. Your reaction to that body will be different.
If you're racist.
No. No.
Uche, what if you were born into a woman's body right now?
Exactly. So your reaction to the world would be different. You will change yourself to be someone who you were not if you stayed in the same body.
No, you'd still be the same person.
I think we need to
this is like a
bring
Freaky
in the
Friday
concept
thing.
of function here.
Well,
No, because
I like.
if you were
I like
if
that.
you were really
What's
put
that-
into a girl's
that Rob
body
Schneider
and you
movie?
grew up in it, right?
Yeah.
I like
you would
that.
react to things, start reacting to things differently, especially not just because your environment, your
Your
like,
hormones or whatever.
yeah, but also because of your hormones. You would be changing not just physically but mentally as well.
Your experience would be. I kind of agree with Haya on this
So
one.
there's a part
Yeah.
of physicality that does determine who you are.
Yeah, because physicality is an environment as well.
But it need not determine. Like everybody's banding about this term determinism in the philosophy club. It need not deter. I mean, granted, if you were
Greatly
born,
influence.
yeah, if you were exactly influence, it need not determine insofar as yeah, okay, now you're experiencing life in a different body that has different biological chemistry involved with it, and so naturally that's going to change how you experience things. However, you can apply you can attach a certain signification or a certain value to that you otherwise don't have to. And so in that way, I don't think it determines you.
But even that idea assumes a kind of dualism, a very real substance dualism. The saying you are born into a different body assumes that whatever the real you is somehow independent of or separable from your body.
It is.
That's true.
It is though.
Well,
Explain.
I don't think- I don't
if you
think
want
it is.
to argue that, then fine. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not really being argued for. It's being kind of assumed into the language that we're using to discuss this.
Well, I personally I'm gonna go off what Haya said. Like, if she was to take only thing that's left from her, like if she was to be gone, the only thing that's left is her consciousness, essentially.
Okay, but
like,
if she's gone, then her consciousness is gone too. You can't say
no,
she's
no,
gone.
she said like the I forgot the
The
words.
brain or what-
Like her brain.
Electrical impulses. If you had
Like
the
her
technology
consciousness
to
is
keep
only there.
together the
Like
consciousness.
like her physical being is gone, but the only thing left that we have rendered to say this is Haya is her consciousness. If we go put that in another body, that is still Haya. And I feel like if we put it in another body, yes, we can call it a different name because it's a different physical person, but in the sense, it's still Haya. Like, okay, I just made a joke in my head, but if like the hot chick, right? It's a terrible movie by Rob Schneider, but he switches bodies with like a 17-year-old girl. 17-year-old girl wakes up in Rob Schneider's body. Like, she is still
Probably
her.
ends her life.
She is still her. She does not. Her consciousness doesn't change. Is she a different person? Physically speaking, yes. Will she be different based off her experiences as that man, as that male, as a different physical being in his physical realm? Yes. But consciously speaking, no. So if I was to say, is there like a difference between your consciousness and your physical being? Yeah, because I feel Furman is the guy who's up here telling this body to move its lips and make my tongue flick so I can say these words.
So,
Reference monkey.
But again, you're assuming
Essentially.
what you're setting out to argue for. All that assumes, without really argumentation,
I feel
that
like
you
you're
are
ma-
in fact separable
I feel
from your body. You're talking about all these hypothetical scenarios involving Rob Schneider movies,
Science fiction.
or involving
One
technology
movie.
that somehow, with hand waving, enables this to be possible. But I don't think you should skip so quickly over that. I think that is, in fact, a huge part of the of the question.
If you could
Yeah.
essentially code your entire consciousness into an algorithm.
That's a big if.
But it's still
you'd
possible.
still need a computer, which is a physical thing, for that code to be read on.
No,
for
you're
it to
assuming the
actually
computational
work.
theory of cognition. You're
Okay.
assuming that the mind is to the brain as software is to hardware.
But we have
That
no
is.
other things to compare
Okay,
it to.
you want to argue for that?
So if you think
You're
the software,
claiming it is, and I'm questioning it. You're saying no, that's just the way it is. But I don't think it's that easy to argue for.
So is the computer the software or the hardware?
So the computer would be the
computer's the
hardware.
hardware.
The way that the computer's
program
programmed is
is
the
the
software.
software.
So you're saying your soul is the software and your body is the hardware, but you can't operate software without hardware to operate it. So that means they have to go together.
But you
Ah.
can operate software on different hardware. You can run the same software
Software.
on different pieces of hardware.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what I'm saying. I'm not quite sure you
That's the-
can demonstrate that that's the case with whatever you want to call it, consciousness or the mind and the body.
Yeah, where I disagree with the software hardware kind of thing with the human body is that our hardware kind of determines the way that the neural networks function, because the way that we are who we are is determined by the way that our neural networks have shaped themselves over the years, and our experiences and our memories, all these things, all the ways that they work. That's the hardware. And without that hardware, that's the pattern that all these electrons flow through. that make the consciousness how it is. The consciousness is not something separate from the pattern that makes the consciousness arise. So you can't take that different pattern and then reshape Haya's brain and put your pattern into Haya's brain. You'd have to reshape her brain into exactly what your brain is, and the rest of your body as well, because information goes from your body to your brain just like your brain gives information to the body.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're basically saying that you can't completely detach the physical aspect from the mental aspect. That the physical aspect is why the mental aspect is the way that it is.
Yeah, and you could even say it the other way around too
I
if
feel
you use
like-
the words right.
Yeah, there seems to be a kind of unity between those two.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But nothing that cannot be severed, essentially.
Yeah, because I feel like that's something that's developed over time.
It's like a neuron. It connects, and it connects perfectly the way it is, but if it's severed, it doesn't mean it can't connect to another neuron. It just takes time to do. I also have another hypothetical situation.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
A hypothetical.
Like, yeah. But basically, all of you must have.
That was terrible.
Did you guys just get it? Oh my
Out
god.
of nowhere, I just got so angry.
Damn it.
It's what makes you unique.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it must be. Even at the one, the crux of the moment when he decides to go to heaven or hell, God will decide, nope, hell for you. There you go.
Go
Did
ahead.
you just
And-
decide my fate?
Anyways, so you know that resurrection is a big concept in India and some parts of Japan and Asia.
Wait, I mean resurrection or reincarnation?
Reincarnation.
Yeah.
No, my bad. So the idea is that after you die, you're reincarnated either in a higher being or a lower being, based on who you were in your lifetime.
Well, you became a Haya.
Exactly.
being.
But maybe I was like a duck last time. I'm pretty sure.
You're a
Eh,
duck this
You
time,
were
a
a
thunder
duck
duck.
last time.
Anyways, so if you could be resurrected in another body with your previous memories, right?
Yeah.
And you're born into this body, you don't recall all your memories at once. Like you're born, you come out of your mom's womb,
Yeah.
and you know everything. But basically, as you go through your life, you recollect different parts of your memories from your previous life,
Mhm.
right? Are you still you?
Recollection, yeah.
Are you still you?
You consciously, like, are you still you, or are you a different person now that you were reborn?
Why would you not be you?
What
Well,
what
again, that kind of
carries
that
after
assumes
rebirth?
that it's that you are actually physically or that you're separable from your physical body. Reincarnation is only possible on that kind of substance dualist view.
Yeah.
I said hypothetically.
well, no. So hypothetically, if that were the case, then something like substance dualism would have to be true in order for that to be possible. You would have to be not really actually part of your body would not really be an actual part of you. It'd just be, again, a ghost in the machine type situation or a driver of a vehicle.
Or the prison of the soul, if you're Plato.
I feel like that all of my body.
If we assume reincarnation as a given, then something like that would have to be true as well.
Yeah, I suppose.
Whereas we're kind of arguing that it's inseparable,
What if it's like a
a la
situation
Aristotle.
where, say, a person's going through like some type
I'll
of
give my
disease.
secrets
They
away.
live their life and they go through some type of disease like Alzheimer's, or maybe there was a situation where like a guy
Good
got
question.
like a pipe shot through his head. And it went through his brain, and after it went through his brain, he started behaving differently. He started
Ah.
acting like a different person. He was more aggressive. All right.
What was that?
Phone. But he started acting more aggressive. He basically, his personality changed. It's the same person as it was the day before, but after this incident, is it a different person? Like if one of your
You just said it wasn't.
Say what?
You just said he wasn't.
What do you mean?
You just said he's the same person as he was the day before, but is he a different person?
Yeah, is he a different person?
Well, you just said he wasn't.
I don't understand what's
Oh,
happening.
he said he's the same person he was before, but is he the same person he was
Oh,
before?
okay.
I mean, I know what you mean.
I
It's
hear
just
what
kind
you're
of
saying.
weird
Yeah,
language, you know.
He's the
Weird
same
wording.
physical person that he was before.
Yeah, his
This thing has
social
happened to
security
him
number's
that-
still the same. Yeah, all that
This
stuff.
thing that happened to him has changed him. Is that the same person? Say it's John, and then John has like
a brain tumor. That
Would you say his
brain tumor
behavior
that
is
makes me-
different than his behavior was before the accident?
yes.
Then that answers your question.
Then would I
his
be a different
behavior is
person?
different than his behavior was prior.
So then
Well,
you're saying
if-
that behavior determines who a person is.
That's what I'm thinking. Behavior and how they react to their experiences is what the person is.
Yes, they are.
And if that changes, does the person change as well?
Then who's doing the behaving?
Just developing. That's
Yeah,
not
who's doing the
evolving.
behaving? Who's wearing the mask?
Well, it's essentially a different person at this point.
I feel like based off the physical experiences, the consciousness tells the body to behave differently. So is it a different person? No, but is the consciousness telling the body to react and do different things now because of that past experience? Yes. I don't think the person has changed at all, because was I Furman 7 years ago? Yeah. Did I break my leg a year ago? Yeah. Am I still me? Yeah. Do I ride my board a little safer now? Yes, because I broke my foot, and because of that, my brain told me, "Hey, dude, you gotta be safe now." Like, I have not changed at all. My physical being had changed at a moment's notice, and my physical characteristics and my actions that I take now on a day-to-day basis are probably like adjusted based off my experiences. But I don't think I've changed.
What about?
Do you think you'll be the same person 30 years from now?
No, because consciously speaking, like, I'm still developing my mind, because it's always growing and developing. But based off that, yeah, I'm never gonna be the same. We're always developing. You're always developing. Like,
Well, I think that's
like
right.
that acorn won't be that. The acorn's not gonna be an acorn after you put it in the soil and water it for a while.
Well, yeah, but what happens after if your mind goes to a physical change? Say if you take a bat to the head, you get amnesia, right? Are you still the same person?
That's what I'm implying, because these.
Oh yeah, brain
It's not
damage.
like, or I don't know exactly what Alzheimer's does to a person, but I think it changes, maybe like lapses their memories or something. I have no idea.
It
wipes
it
blurs
kind
it
of
up.
affects your sense of direction, not just your sense of direction.
Watch
but
the new
your
season of
memory,
BoJack.
Short-term memory, long-term memory, sense of direction, and also causes dementia a bit.
In all those situations, why wouldn't you just say that, yeah, this person has undergone a change?
Well, doesn't the change kind of takes the person away from themselves?
Yeah, they can't even recognize themselves.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm saying they lose
right,
themselves.
they can't recognize themselves like they used to be able to.
Like they once did.
Yeah, like they once did, like that same person used to be able to.
But I think their question is here.
Otherwise, you
I
have
think-
just you have the person who's gone out of existence and a different one's taken their place.
I think this all boils down to can something undergo a change without it being a different thing after can something actually undergo a change, or does something have to change?
Is there such a thing as accidental change or change in property but not substance?
Yeah, exactly. Or even just is there a way that you can divide without necessarily rendering disparate, different kinds of changes versus different kinds of permanence? I mean, first of all, this begs the question, okay, so if I'm dead and you're staring at my dead carcass, is that still me? I just underwent a change? I'm not the same as I was yesterday. That's still me. People are still pointing and saying, there's Jeff. No, there's a qualitative difference. Yeah, and so I would put it this way.
Your consciousness dies.
Paul Ricoeur has, there's a lot of talk of death and hitting people in the head with pipes and stuff, and Alzheimer's, and I don't even know. Anyways, Paul Ricoeur has this idea that I like to speak on when it comes to this kind of topic, and it's this idea of selfhood, and he divides it into ipseity and idiom. And so basically, there's the part of you that doesn't change ever, which is to say that's the part of you that you cannot change. You were born a certain way with certain characteristics, certain features that you have no control over, but that's who you are. You can't change when your birthday is. It's a fact about you that you can never change. You can't change, again, who your birth parents are. They're facts about you, but they never change. They remain the same throughout time. So you have that sort of permanence. Then there's the part of you that does change, and this is your selfhood. These are the things that allow you to, again, grow as a person or get worse as a person or get better and worse and better and worse throughout your life. The fact that you are changing in these ways allows for the idea of a permanence of self while also undergoing alteration. Again, so it's not a substantive change necessarily. Having said that, I think this accounts for a lot of the sort of discrepancies we've been getting at here. So if you have this idea of who you are as something that's there are facts about you that are permanent, that are unchangeable, and then there are within those facts you branch out into making decisions, maybe initially based on those facts, but then you make decisions based upon previous decisions, etc. It's how you build a life. It's how you design a personal identity. It seems to me that what allows for the very possibility of thinking of oneself as totally different or as never changing is, again, the idea that we exist through time, is the fact that we're not just spatial, as everybody's saying here, but temporal. as you continue to develop, you will change, but it is the you that's changing. And so is it the same you as 7 years ago? It's a yes and a no. We don't have to say yes or no. It's both, and we make these fine distinctions. Am I the same person I was when I was 7 years old? No. I've grown about 2 inches since then. And, I've grown a bunch of hair, and I care about things. And my best friend when I was 7 is not my best friend today. So all of those things have changed. But what allows me to say it's me, I could point to facts that will never change. Well, I'm still the thing that was born January 11th, 1984. I'm still the thing that had these memories, that had these experiences. And once experienced, they remain permanent in the past, transfixed by time. And yet, what those memories mean to me might change over the course of time, which is to say, my relationship to my past changes, so I change. But the past doesn't change, but my relationship to it does. So am I the same person? It's a yes and a no. Yeah, in different senses. Yeah, in different ways.
I actually like that answer.
Anyways, so yeah, we got
Satisfying.
5 more minutes left.
It's so satisfying.
That's a great answer, but it doesn't.
No,
really
stop there. Stop there. You nailed it. That's exactly what I was going for.
Out of time now.
You see the video cuts right there.
I tell Jack, cut it at 45,
That's
70.
a great answer, but
That's a great. That's all, folks.
Thanks for tuning in.
Exactly. But no, I'm sorry. What were you going to say, for real?
So it's a good answer to the question, am I the same as I was a long time ago? Yes and no. The way that I act and the way that I've learned how to behave is different, but there's still a me to it. But that still doesn't answer the question of what is that you're
Hashtag me to
talking
it.
about.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, look, I think you're onto something. Okay, the puns are getting annoying. I could sense it now in the faces of everybody. I'll stop. Wow, I look slick like this. I think, John, even then, I think that would be part of the permanence, which is to say, again, the me who is sitting back and thinking, how have I changed? Or the I who's sitting back and saying, what did I once do? And so separating the I from the I, or the I from the me, however you want to put it, you seem like you want to go even one step further and say, well, who is the I that's making the distinction between I and me? And we're kind of back at that infinite regress again. I just think that, part and parcel with existence, both bodily, in a real somatic way, both bodily and mentally simultaneously integrated fully, thinking comes about simply as a result of our experiencing or existing in the way that we do as humans. I don't think we necessarily have to say, see, this is why I really detest when people discuss, I shouldn't say this. I really dequiz when people talk about things like nothing really. I hate you guys.
go ahead.
Are you just tuning me out now every time I
No,
talk? I talk
I'm
every
listening.
single head is looking down.
I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm just trying to stay on this train of thought.
Nice. I'm just stalling when I think of something to say.
Go ahead.
John's stalling. I think I think it's like this, guys.
You just hated one student's
Well,
foot.
no, because I didn't want to say. I didn't want to conclude that thought because some people were arguing this in philosophy club, and I do find it interesting. But when you try to reduce thinking to like synapses firing and neurons linking together, I think we miss something really crucial about what it is. And if you continue to go down that neurological road, it becomes very easy to succumb to some sort of, again, substance dualism, some sort of, again, determinism even. And I'm just not so sure that's authentic to life itself, if that's authentic to the way we understand ourselves and the way we make distinctions. Like when I'm making a decision and then I make the right decision, I don't then say to myself, good job, monkey in my brain. You really saved my ass, butt there. It's more like it's me.
13, man.
Sorry, guys.
Manzi. Oh my God.
That was
ruined a
We
We
child's
lost our
life.
award now, Manzi.
Watch
Come
your
on.
profanity.
I'm kidding.
Prof-
Stop. I'm trying to think of one right now, dude. Stop.
profanity, prof-manzy. There's something there. Anyways. Prof-manzy. Thank you. Eat that mic. All right, guys. Well, let's do final thoughts here, because we have a hard out at 4 and it's 3:59. Any final thoughts or shout outs? We'll go around the room. We'll start with Uche.
In the beginning of the meeting, I didn't know who I was. At the end of the meeting, I still don't know who I am.
I just know that I hate Professor Manzi.
Yeah, just to like play back off of what Uche was saying, find yourself. That's all I can say.
Any shout-outs?
No, not today, not this week. Oh yeah, yeah, find yourself. That's all I got.
I don't think this is concluded at all.
Not at all.
honestly.
It's
Right.
never concluded.
I think that to you were talking about to bring thinking down to synapses and neural connections, and to do that loses something. But I think to do that kind of shows what it actually is.
It's helpful.
Not necessarily to like kill all the magic out of it, but I mean to bring it down to that kind of brings new magic into it.
I know, and I
It's
totally
like a
agree
base,
with that.
and then you can build up from there.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But they're I think it's they're compatible. They're complementary, not
Yeah.
just
Right.
one or the other.
Because
Yeah, I agree.
the fact that it's just an electrical impulse doesn't answer the question why we still have thoughts in the first
Right.
place.
Exactly.
I think that you are an illusion, and the rest of us are also all illusions. That this is just one big play, and we're just
I'm definitely
pretending
ill.
to be something.
This is one
Or
mad
maybe a
acid trip.
puppeteer thing, like maybe just mannequins going.
Maybe something like that.
I'm
Okay.
more than that.
That was. Can you do that dance? Right in front of the camera. Okay, thank you. That's great. I'm horrified.
See her hands.
What do you got? Hiya.
Me, I just said something.
Do you have any?
She danced.
I did.
This is the worst sign-off we've ever had.
Okay. The student success banquet is gonna happen on
Okay.
26th April. Gonna see who wins the awards. May the best club win.
Oh yeah, I do have a shout out.
Subway owns us.
Yeah.
Okay.
See.
Furman, do you want to plug a show?
Oh no, not a show, but if anyone is listening to the speech and you are just interested in hearing more words from me about random stuff and random talking, I'll be talking to like the Male Achievement Program
Oh yeah.
next week from 2 to 3.
Their mascot is sitting right next to you.
Yeah, so I assume none of you guys will be there, but because you'll be talking about something super interesting. Hope to hear more about it. But if you want to hear some more words from me, catch me next Tuesday.
Is anybody taping that?
I think Mr. Randall will probably tape it. I'll probably record it personally so I can hear back. But yeah, that's
Which
that.
room will it be in?
EO 76,
Yeah,
76?
EO76.
Gotcha.
our old one. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll skip me because I got a few announcements for Philosophy Club. But sir.
Okay. Yeah. Hi. I came in just about 20 minutes late, so you're welcome for that. But from what I was able to hear, and when I just jumped in, we were mainly talking about separation. A lot more hypotheticals than anything that I actually thought I would hear in today's talk. I asked Dr. Mansley about the question. It was uniqueness, and I didn't
Doctor.
really expect much of the talk.
I'm not yet a doctor, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Mansley, sorry, you're a doctor to me though. It's awesome, but
Professor's fine.
all right. So,
Sorry.
I think it really it can't come down to computing something for synaptics or just going from 0 to 1s, as we talked about, putting consciousness into a machine. It's something a lot deeper, and I don't think it's something that we fully understand as of yet. But uniqueness, I think it really just comes down to the actions that you take yourself, and whatever actions you have, it defines on how, not only in the outward appearance of how other people perceive you, but also in your how you perceive yourself. Whatever actions you take, if you decide to help some homeless woman across the street or something like that, or you decide to run over them with a car, whichever one, you still have that uniqueness that you don't know. You can't boil it down to zeros and ones or synaptics going into it. But yeah.
Why did
Not
you do
yet.
what you did,
Not yet.
defendant? I had to be me.
Sounds perfectly logical to me.
Kaylin, go for it, bud.
Everyone conforms to the definition of uniqueness. Yeah. Shout out to RCHS seniors who just finished their capstones last Wednesday. I had the privilege of being a judge at the capstones, and it was a great experience. Look forward to doing it again next year. And that's all I got.
Yeah, that was. Thank you. I almost forgot to do that. Yeah, that's a great. It was so much fun seeing those students really shine. So shout out to the RCHS senior capstones, And shout out to the Richardson Convention Center. Lovely venue. A couple of things. So this Friday, April 13th, by 5 p.m. is the deadline to submit for the Philosophy Undergraduate Student Conference, the district-wide, the 7 schools-wide Philosophy Student Conference that will be taking place right here at Richland College in Sabine Hall from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So it will. The conference itself is happening on Tuesday, so it's going to overlap with the Philosophy Club. Because remember last semester I had to leave the radio show and run over there and give closing remarks and then run back here and complete the radio. Actually, no, I let Uche complete the radio show. So we might have to do that again, in other words.
I don't remember. What's happening? So what was it again? The Philosophy Club conference?
Yeah, so there's a philosophy...
where they give speeches?
Yeah, they give speeches. It could be anything. It could not just be a paper you present. You could read a poem. You could perform a song. You give a PowerPoint presentation. I think last semester we had some RCHS students actually act a scene that they wrote to illustrate some moral points. So it could be varied in your style of presentation and format. But yeah, it's going to be on the 15th. No, that's not right. 13, 14, 15, it's 17th. It'll be on the 13th is Friday, 14th is Saturday, 15th is Sunday. Yeah, it'll be on the 17th, Tuesday. It's an all-day thing in Sabine 118 from 117 from Tuesday on 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're interested in submitting something for consideration for a presentation, send it to gmanzi@dcccd.edu or lbenton@dcccd.edu. Really pumped about this. It's the first time we open it up to all the colleges in the district. A lot of people are on board. It's an exciting thing. We're really pumped about it. On April 24th, that is also a Tuesday. It's the following Tuesday. There is the Existentialist Arts. There is the Philosophy and Fine Art Department collaboration. Hanging out in Brazos Gallery over there. I think that's C140, Brazos Gallery. It's all student art, and students, it is now, and then it will be new student art that day, the 24th of April, where they will unveil, I think, basically paintings and drawings and some other instances of art that have to do with existentialism. More specifically, they're inspired by aphorisms by Friedrich Nietzsche. That is happening right at 2 o'clock. The Philosophy Club will be there. It's going to be a lot of fun, just like it was last time. Only this time we're doing it in a different venue. It's going to be great. That is the 24th, and that is starting at 2 p.m. At 12:30 p.m. on the 24th of April, there will be a public panel on student rights, dealing with the protests that happened recently. There'll be representation from Student Life, from SGA, from those people who organized the student protests, as well as faculty and journalism. So that should be a lot of fun. Again, so a lot happening in the next couple of weeks. And and then there's one more installment in the Philosophy and Film series. Film yet to be determined, but it'll probably be happening either next Tuesday, which is, again, the day of the conference, or we might push it all the way back to the last week of classes. Yet to be determined. We'll see what happens. There will be no Philosophy Club fundraiser this semester because apparently Haya couldn't get her act together.
Excuse you?
But that's okay. That's okay, guys.
That wasn't my fault.
That was a joke. That was a joke. I'm trying to think. There's something else that's happening as well that I want to highlight.
I'm gonna have to leave now.
Highlight.
But, ponder a bit.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll do it. Views expressed. You're listening to KDOX Web Radio, broadcast live from Richland College in Dallas, Texas. You're the voice of Richland College. Views expressed on this show are our own unless otherwise stated and do not reflect the opinion of KDOX Web Radio, Richland College, or the DCCCD. You know where to go if you want to think about it.
Ponder a little.
Oh my
Cogitate.
God.
See you.